Namaskar, good evening. You're watching Blueprint Explosive Exclusive and I'm Swati Joshi. Let's begin the broadcast with the top developments. RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat makes a big claim, says India is essentially a Hindu Rashtra and Hindus must protect it and take everyone along. AIMIM MP Asaduddin Owaisi hits back at RSS chief over his statement seeking Hindu unity, says Prime Minister Modi and Mohan Bhagwat are threats to Hindus. Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah says the caste census report is likely to be tabled before the Karnataka cabinet on the 18th of October. Sources tell Times Now that Uttarakhand government is likely to implement the Uniform Civil Code by the 9th of November. Facing flack for the death of 5 people after an air show on Marina Beach, Chief Minister Stalin says state authorities provided necessary cooperation and facilities for the air show, which was beyond what was requested by the Indian Air Force. Day after 5 people died during the air show organized by the Indian Air Force, CM Stalin announces a ex gratia of 5 lakh rupees to the families of each of the deceased. Sources tell Times Now that CBI has filed the first charge sheet in the Kolkata rape and murder case, names Sanjoy Roy as the main accused. The court is yet to take cognizance of the charge sheet. India and Maldives reset ties. Maldivian president meets Prime Minister Modi in New Delhi. India and Maldives sign currency swap agreement of $400 million. Ahead of counting votes, Farooq Abdullah drops a message for PDP, says we all must work together. He claims that the challenges faced by the region are immense and collective effort is necessary to overcome them. Amid buzz over tie-up with NC and Congress, PDP says senior leadership will take a call on extending support to a secular front only once the results are out. While Chennai residents had their eyes on the skies for the spectacular Indian Air Force Air Show, there was tragedy unfolding on ground. What was to be a stunning event in the city after a gap of 20 years turned into a tragedy, with 5 spectators losing their lives and 100 others being hospitalized. The reason? Poor planning, bad execution and a shameful lack of basic facilities. Look at the visuals that we are playing out on your screen. So on one side, you have the mantris who were comfortably sitting inside a shaded location, sipping on some water and refreshments, having a luxurious time, oblivious to the suffering on the ground. Away from this, the VIP seating were lakhs of people in the scorching heat, jostling for space with no facilities inside, as has been claimed by several eyewitnesses. The event happened between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. and as it ended, lakhs of attendees tried to exit at the same time, which led to absolute chaos on ground. So there was clearly inadequate police deployment, and while medical facilities were deployed, it was not just not enough for the massive crowd. There weren't adequate availability of drinking water facility as well, and no crowd management or public announcement systems in place. Political blame game is now raging over who is to be blamed for the casualties. Opposition parties are holding DMK government solely responsible for mismanagement, but DMK government says 40 ambulances and scores of paramedical staff were at the spot. 100 beds, 65 doctors were kept ready at government hospitals.
While MK Salan and his family are happy to watch the show in an air-cooled, air-conditioned makeshift tent, the common man have to walk for 5 to 10 kilometers to watch this air show, to express his solidarity and patriotism. Not only that, there were no public address system that could guide the people who had come for the event, where to go, what to fetch where. There were no booths distributing water. There were no medical assistance available immediately. There is no traffic management. People who want to get out of the event were not able to do so. It's a complete mismanagement and completely lack of planned event ever in the history. If Mas Subramaniam has any one element of empathy and self-consciousness, he should resign as the health minister.
First of all, it's very unfortunate. I really feel sorry for the lives which we have lost and all the sufferings of the people and the people who have admitted in the hospital. I wish them speedy recovery. But total mismanagement, total unprediction. They have predicted, according to me, 15 lakhs. They have predicted, but they have not made any arrangements. And the people were unable to see the Air Force show with ease, with comfort, because for the past 1 month they were advertising for that, and even the Air Force authorities have mentioned that you come with umbrella. Even that information.
It's not just the opposition calling out the DMK government, its own allies have also demanded accountability. DMK's ally VCK questioned why the government did not anticipate the crowd and calling out the lack of facilities as well, along with the arrangements made at the venue, saying sufficient facilities were not arranged and loss of life was due to that. But who is responsible for the tragedy in this event, which was open for all? We'll get you some reactions coming in on the DMK, which is justifying, saying that they made necessary arrangements as well. So the opposition is saying lack of facilities, the government is justifying its move.
Flash news போட்டு உங்க ரேட்டிங் இதுல கூட்டிக்கணும் இல்ல எனக்கு தெரியும் நீங்க என்ன டிவில இருந்து மறுக்கறீங்கன்னு இது ரேட்டிங் இன்கிரீஸ் பண்ற இல்லங்க ஏங்க இப்போ நீங்க நான் இத திரும்பி அரசு
See, this is conducted by the Indian Air Force, and the crowd which the Marina can hold. We cannot place chairs everywhere with this kind of a crowd. Even you can see in temple functions, sometimes such things occur because of the anxiety of the people. But whatever the DMK do, they want to accuse. Immediately there were more than 100 people were taken to the hospitals.
So yesterday was an historic event which has been conducted in Chennai instead of Tamil Nadu, which represents the whole India. Okay, so it's been really a much initiative which has been taken by the Air Force, and even state government has been collaborated with them. So we have taken all the measures. So we totally 15 lakhs people were participated in that event. So it was much crowded, and we know how the climate in Chennai right now. It's very.
Now, before we open up the debate and go across to our guests, let me go across to Vashni. Vashni, we've heard political reactions. We heard the DMK justifying its position, and we heard the opposition criticizing the DMK. What did the Eyewitness tell you? You must have been speaking to them, the victims and those near and dear ones.
Well, absolutely yes, because there is a lot of political uproar, a lot of political blame game that is happening at this point. But what is the important thing that we have to speak about is definitely about the victims and the kin of the victims, and also the public entirely who were, stuck at that Marina Beach for almost a couple of hours. The main issue that the people who were there were suffering from lack of water, because Chennai is a really hot city with the tropical climate that Chennai has. 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock is going to be really hot, and it's going to be very scorching, and that is what the people had to suffer yesterday when the air show was happening. On one hand, they were all pretty excited about what they're going to witness, and the Indian Air Force flying in different colors, but the problem was the lack of facilities, the lack of shade, lack of water, and it was extremely crowded, that there was also difficulty in moving around. They couldn't even move. If somebody was not feeling well, suddenly if they wanted to move to a shade or a place where there's shade, they couldn't quickly move because it was damp packed. Marina Beach, which is extremely huge and vast, there's so much of space there. Despite that, they had to stand in a place where it was extremely congested.
So lack of facilities is what the victims told you in their interaction with you. Vashni, thank you for getting us the details. Let me open this up and go across to our guests now. We're joined by Vinoj P. Selvam, BJP spokesperson. We have Kasturi Shankar, actress, with us on the panel. We have Ramasubramanian, political analyst, and we have Dr. Nikul Patel, Congress leader. Good evening to all of you. Mr. Ramasubramanian, we've heard all sides. We've heard the DMK, we've heard the BJP, the opposition. We've heard DMK's ally VCK also, which believes that adequate arrangements were not in place. But what's baffling are the kind of statements coming in. Should we have deployed 15 lakh police personnel for 15 lakh people, or to say, such incidents happen during festival or at temples as well? As if we've accepted that if there's a large gathering or a crowd, perhaps such incidents will take place. Are we taking it that lightly?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it was the air show was endorsed by the people, and they turned up in a very huge number. The patriotic fervor was at its peak yesterday. Having said that, facility. Recent past, if I see, there were two occasions when such a huge turnout took place in Marina. One is this Jallikattu, and the second one is this. The number, as you mentioned, is something like 15 lakhs of people. It's a daytime only. But before organizing this event, there were several discussions taking place between the government officials and the Air Force officials as to what arrangements should be made. Adequate discussions have been taken and measures to be taken. All these have been discussed threadbare. One is, the number of doctors who are put into service, and also the number of nurses. They are all quite adequate, and 40 ambulances have been pressed into service. And
but Mr. Ramasubramanian, my point is that if all of it was done, if according to you there were adequate arrangements and measures taken by the state administration, by the state government, why is it that this situation arose in the first place? People lost their lives, people had to be hospitalized, and the victims are saying that there was a lack of facility in terms of drinking water available there.
See, for example, in 1992, I would have died in this stampede at Kumbakonam. There was a very huge turnout, and that the Kumbakonam tragedy was very well known to everybody. More than 150 people died. I would have died at that point in time. See, how could you manage such a huge turnout with? It can happen. For example, this Hathras in Uttar Pradesh.
No, one second. Then that should have been voiced as well. That concern should have been voiced in that case. How to manage it? If that was the big question, then that concern should have been voiced. And let's not proceed in this manner, because we don't know what will happen and how to manage the incident. If that's your answer, Vinod P. Selvam.
No, that's what I'm saying. Hathras, you should make a comparison. It was some discourse by a religious leader.
It was a religious event. It was a religious event. You're absolutely right. People died there. Questions were posed to the government and the administration. Let's shift focus back to what happened in Chennai. Vinod Selvam.
Right.
Vinod Selvam.
Yeah, likewise.
No, I want to go to our other guests as well. Mr. Selvam.
Yeah, what about...
It is rather shocking that the DMK from today morning has been trying to justify their absolute mismanagement of affairs and how tragically people have been facing the brunt of the mismanagement of the government. We can even smell a little bit of conspiracy here, because DMK has always believed that people of Tamil Nadu are not nationalistic. They've always taken a separate approach, trying to play divisive politics where, they see Tamil Nadu as away from the mainstream national politics. And here there is the Indian Air Force doing an air show after 20 years. It is a show, it is a sign of our national integrity. It is the show of strength of our pilots, of our Air Force. And, the DMK has been shocked that lakhs of people were going to be gathering to come and see such a spectacle. So in a way, if you think deeply, DMK being a party of conspiracies, this could have been a method of discouraging people to attend such events.
Mr. Selvam, are you saying that DMK conspired to do this? That's a sensational allegation if you're leveling.
I'm doubting it. I am doubting the motives of DMK, because DMK, a political party which knows how to manage lakhs of people which come for their public conferences.
You can highlight and question the facilities on ground. But Mr. Selvam, if you're saying that DMK conspired, or if you're doubting, if you had your suspicions that they conspired, what would you say about BJP ruled states where such incidents have happened in the past, where people have died in stampede because of lack of arrangements? Did the governments there conspire as well against the people of the state?
Which shows patriotism. It is a patriotic show. It is a show of patriotism. It is a show and a sign of a strength of the nation. And people are coming there to witness the same. It is the responsibility of the state government to ensure that enough measures are put in place. The PWD minister
Quick rebuttal,
The
Mr.
PWD minister
Ramasubramaniam.
had come
Quick
to-
rebuttal.
Mr. Selvam, he is a very good friend of mine, and he should not talk in terms of conspiracy by the DMK government. It's a properly coordinated act between the government and the Air Force officials. They have made a lot of arrangements, and there might be some inadequacies, I don't say. In fact, water facility, in fact, my granddaughter was there. She also felt that there was not a adequate drinking water available.
Right.
Yes, I can
Right.
understand
So
that.
you're admitting that. So while you're admitting that, that's the whole point.
I'm admitting because the fact is fact.
That's what
I
I'm
cannot
saying.
say,
That's what I'm saying.
I cannot
So
suppress
that's
the
what I'm saying.
facts.
Instead of drawing parallels like, this happens at the temples also, or to say that
Yeah,
should we
listen.
deploy 15 lakh people, 15 lakh police personnel, 15 lakh people, the government should have said that in case there were, inadequacies on ground, we take responsibility for that. Kasturi Shankar, wouldn't that have made it easier for the government?
First of all, it's heartbreaking to think of the 5 lives lost, and there's really no excuse for that. You were asking me if better facilities. I think I have to first focus on the water situation. The absence of access to water actually was a planned event. It was I think the government was trying to reduce the clutter by clearing the entire beach of hawkers, so there was no private entities selling water or ice creams or drinks. Nothing was available because all the vendors had been cleared. And that actually ended up exacerbating the problem because there was no public water kiosk anywhere, which I think is a huge lapse on the part of the government. As Mr. Ramasubramanian, the DMK supporter, he himself has to agree that there was no water to be had. And to tell people to bring water bottles, that's a joke because the self-same government will turn around and say, don't bring plastic bottles. There was lots of checking. And the other problem was walking. The access to the beach itself was curtailed and people were forced to walk long distances in the heat to even get to the beach.
Right.
So these are all, the problem here is, more than all that, what I find extremely heartbreaking is that I just watched a DMK supporter and a BJP spokesperson indulge in a tutu meme right here on this channel. And I'm like, are we going to talk about the people here?
Okay.
Are we going to talk about
That's a very important point that you're making, Kasturi Shankar.
Just one more sentence. The insensitivity.
All right. Let me bring in Dr. Nikul Patel as well. Dr. Nikul Patel, people were made to suffer. And, if water was not available for people who were on ground, they were asked to walk for kilometers together just to take part in the event or just to witness the air show. How is it that facilities were available at the same venue inside the VIP tents or structures erected for the VIPs?
See, whenever you have any event, whether it is a religious event or a national event, or we can say that an event like this where Indian Air Force was involved. See, the organizers has to definitely look into every aspect of whatever management and things that are required with the expected crowd that are going to visit the venue. Now, this has been a total lack of the administration as well as the people who have organized this event, and definitely VIP culture should be avoided because you rightly say that there was a different facilities there. But over here, I would like to say instead of politicizing the event, we should try to work out what was the lapses and who were behind it, as what happened in last few years at different states whenever such stampede or any mismanagement happened. So I would like to just say that over here, just those people who have died, we are deeply sorrowed for that because it is an unfortunate event. Mass gathering has to be addressed. We can say that the government will try to give its best over here, but
Okay, I have to wrap up the debate. Closing comments to Kasturi Shankar. And this attitude that if people gather, such incidents will take place, and can we provide facilities to such a huge crowd, that needs to stop. We need to shed that first of all, because in case you do not, you're not capable and you know that you cannot handle, then why have such an event?
Exactly. I found the statements coming from some prominent leaders in government and in the ruling DMK party. Things like, if you gather in large crowds, what can be expected? And there were some I don't want to take names, but I think the Health Minister and Kanimoni Madam and many of them talking about who asked you not to bring your water bottles, who asked you to come out in such crowds. You should have expected this. Very Mary Antoinette to me. That's how it sounded. If you don't have bread, eat cakes. Very insensitive. That's not what we expect from a government or state. That was
Absolutely.
completely.
But responsibility and accountability needs to be fixed. Who's responsible for the tragedy? We need answer to that very important question. While the DMK says we made adequate arrangements and the opposition is criticizing the management or mismanagement on ground. Thank you very much, Kasturi Shankar and gentlemen, for joining us.